Welcome back to Second and Short. It is Friday, August 25th, 2023, week 0 of college football, though we're not talking about it on this episode. We've got the NFL right around the corner. The MLB is heating up. The playoff race is ridiculous right now, and we'll certainly be talking about it. Luke, you're back with me. How's it going? I know Chelsea had a tough week last week, but how's it looking overall?
Dude, it's great. I'm just very, very happy with the sports world right now. But then again, like, when are you not happy with the sports world? I mean, as long as we have something to watch that's sports, degenerates like us will be happy. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you also have some reasons to not be happy, considering the Yankees and Chelsea. But nonetheless, we'll talk about it throughout this episode. So don't think he's just going to get away with it. But, of course, the MLB recap, some weekend preview, and then we have our NFC South preview. It's time for me to get real biased in this bitch.
Hey, are you watching the game tonight? Our teams play.
Yeah, of course I'm going to watch that fucking game. And then Premier League weekend preview, of course, and we're going to have a little bit of discourse just about the Prem so far this season, about our teams so far this season, and then, of course, some transfer news, and we'll round it out with Stake Your Claim. Luke, you ready to hear the winners and losers?
Let's fucking do it.
All right, we start off here. This one's kind of an interesting winner to start off, but it's just people that pick up bad players and make them good. Because Luke Weaver, who we talked about getting dropped last week, was picked up by the Mariners. They put him in a relief role, and in his debut against the White Sox, he pitched 2 innings, no hits, no walks, no runs, 5 strikeouts, 26 pitches.
Wow, that's a good relief outing there.
Yeah, so they just unlocked the way to make Luke Weaver an efficient pitcher, is just don't start him.
Yeah.
I feel like that was pretty obvious. Like, the Reds probably should have thought of doing that before just DFAing him.
Yeah. No, I like that because, like, I guess when you have kind of a pitcher that, do you think it's fair to say that Luke Weaver's supposed to be good?
No.
Oh, well, then again, never mind.
Like,
I was gonna say,
he's an
like,
okay pitcher, but I wouldn't say he's supposed to be good.
Okay, okay, so, like, I'll put in a comparison, like, with Luis Severino with the Yankees. He is somebody that, obviously, like, I would prefer it if he was traded by the trade deadline, but since he isn't, why not put him in relief and have a different starting pitcher? You know, because, he was supposed to be crazy, back in the day, and he used to be a lot better when he was younger before the injuries and all that, so, I don't know, like, you think Luis Severino can be compared to Luke Weaver in that case or no?
Yeah, I do see those cases pretty comparable. It's just 2 guys that aren't really having their way on the mound right now, but we've seen good things out of them. So in that case, yes, they could certainly be compared there. But when it comes down to, like, their actual situations where it's like Luke Weaver's a guy that has never really been like a successful pitcher, never like an overhyped prospect, anything like that, whereas Severino hyped up. We've seen these great flashes, and then it just never pans out, or he gets hurt and everything like that. So they're a little bit different cases, but I definitely see the connections.
I like it. Players that go to different teams and are made better.
Yeah, and I actually have another one.
Okay.
Paul DeJong. So he got traded to the Blue Jays at the deadline, and he was atrocious for them, specifically 44 plate appearances with the Blue Jays. He had 3 hits.
Wow.
They DFA him. The Giants pick him up, and he got 3 hits in his debut.
Wow.
Yeah, only took 5 plate appearances.
Good for him.
So, looks like the Paul DeJong experiment is off to a hot start in the Bay. But let's get to somebody who is not hot in the Bay. My loser, for the first time in the history of this segment, Camilo Doval.
Oh, no.
He has blown 4 straight saves in 4 straight outings, back-to-back days against the Phillies in these last 2 games.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, not looking great right now. It just seems like he's a little off. Like, still throwing hard, still throws nasty stuff. It just seems like he's putting a lot of stuff right over the plate.
God, and then you look at the NL West standings, and Arizona is right back with San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about them. Don't you worry.
Perfect.
But my next winner is Ronald Acuna for being the most consistent player in the league. Home, away, on the moon, underground. It doesn't matter where he's playing. He's going to play phenomenal. He has the same exact splits at home and on the road this season. And I'm not exaggerating. It is literally 333 average on both home and road. 14 home runs, both home and road. He's 29 for 34 on stolen bases at home and on the road, and has 37 RBIs at home and on the road.
What a weird stat. But I'm going to try to knock down Acuna. I'm not pronouncing the tilde anymore.
Come on.
Acuna Jr.
Don't do this shit.
Bro, he's NL MVP. I got to take my jabs when I can.
Fair
Is
enough.
that really that impressive for a player of his caliber? Of
Yes.
course, it's impressive that all of his stats are the same, but take a player like I don't know, like Aaron Judge. Are his splits really that different?
I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that they're this good.
Yeah, well, of course.
Here, I'll pull up Aaron Judge's splits right now, but for Judge, especially, people are going to say the ballpark affects it. Then again, how often is he really hitting it to right field?
Yeah, that is true.
But nonetheless, here, I'm trying to pull up his splits real quick. Why are they not showing up? What the fuck? Man, Baseball Reference is so hard to navigate nowadays.
I've delayed you.
But I'm not going to keep looking. I think it's just more of a matter of he's doing it at home and on the road, and they're this good. It is the crazy part of this.
Okay.
But
gotcha.
Let's talk about the losers, because this one is just unfortunate. The Angels. Yesterday started off just fine. Doubleheader versus the Reds. Shohei on the mound for game 1. He hits a home run in the first to take the lead league in homers at 44 and give himself some run support. And then he's removed from the game in the second inning. And he ended up DHing in game 2, but didn't play the rest of game 1. And this series was also the return of Mike Trout, who played on Tuesday. And then he didn't play in either of the doubleheader games due to a wrist injury. Now we find out Shohei tore his UCL and is going to need another Tommy Johns. He will continue to hit this season, though. And Mike Trout will head back to the IL, though I don't think it's too serious. It looks like he's just going to miss a couple of games. But good God, the Angels just cannot get a win.
No, I mean, not only do you have two of the best players of the history of our sport, they can't stay healthy at the same time.
Yeah,
and it looks like one of them is probably going to leave inevitably. So.
Oh yeah, it's not a probably.
Yeah,
but I do want to talk about Shohei's injury, because this is now his second Tommy Johns in 5 seasons, I believe, in the MLB.
Oh, so it is Tommy John.
Yeah, he's going to need another Tommy Johns. He's not going to do it until the end of the season, I believe. He's going to keep hitting. But does this affect his free agency? Because he's going to be out regardless with this Tommy John's injury, or Tommy John's surgery. So he's probably going to get it right as we get into October. He might even decide to get it right before the season ends. I'm not too sure. But likely October. It's probably going to take 6-7 months. Maybe more.
Yeah.
That's not good, because what?
No.
He's gonna, so let's say he gets it in October and it's a 7-month trajectory. It's gonna be what? October, November, December, and then the season will start in April, really. So that'll be. Sorry?
Isn't it May? When he would come back?
Yeah, he'd come back in May. So he'd miss a month in April. But is he going to want to come back and pitch?
That's a good question. Like, you kind of wonder, especially like a second timer with Tommy John. You not only wonder about their durability and how other teams are going to see that, but I'm sure in his own mind, he's also wondering how he can add longevity or keep longevity to his career. So, it might be a good idea for him to start thinking about whether or not he wants to keep pitching.
Yeah, and I think that definitely affects him in free agency. But then again, I still think he's a $500 million hitter.
Yeah, like
So
he is a $500 million pitcher.
exactly.
So yeah,
So hopefully everything works out. Like of course he's getting this surgery, so hopefully he comes back quickly and this doesn't affect his free agency. I can't imagine it will because they know that they're gonna get the hitter no matter what. So
yeah.
that's promising.
Do you think it offers though questions about how long people might want to sign him?
I think it does. Because like the way I've seen it is, well, actually it could help how long they want to sign him, but it will affect the money he gets because if he stops pitching now and just DHs, maybe plays some outfield, we're going to see him the same amount of games, but he's going to be putting way less strain on his body, which makes Shohei the hitter have a much longer career, most likely.
Yeah. I guess like it's kind of like it definitely sounds like the smarter option to kind of just stop pitching, or at least to stop pitching soon. For him. But of course, like, the selfish part of me, like the fan part of me, wants him to keep pitching and hitting.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it puts me in a weird spot, but that's a good conversation to have. And especially like, even now looking at it, the Angels are nowhere near as good as they were probably like a month ago. They're 12 games back. There's probably no way they can make the playoffs at this point. So like, I don't know. Do you think maybe he decides to get the surgery earlier before the season even ends?
I don't know because the reports are saying he's going to keep hitting this season. I think he wants to keep hitting. But from the mindset of him, at least going into this free agency, he should probably more be thinking of like, I need to get back on the field as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So, because like he's not just gonna not get the surgery, even if he decides to stop pitching, because you tore your UCL, like you need to get it repaired.
Yeah, 100%. I have another loser. Really quick one.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
Breaking news.
The Houston Astros right now are losing 0-11 to Boston in the bottom of the third inning. Boston already has 12 hits.
Holy shit.
And another loser, and this is kind of a sad one, but I'm seeing it now. Strasburg just retired.
I was about to bring that up. It popped up on my phone.
Yeah.
He's a bitch. He had an excuse for fucking everything. It was like, oh, it's gonna be a really hot start in Atlanta. I think my ankle hurts. Like, and I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure that happened. Like things like that are ridiculous, but it does suck because the guy, he's not a legend. He's not like a Hall of Fame pitcher, but he's definitely a guy that was one of the best for a good stretch of time. A World Series MVP, I believe. So
in 2019, yeah.
Yeah. So a good career, but it's certainly tainted by the injuries and storylines.
Yeah, could have been a lot better for him.
Yeah, it definitely could have, but I'm glad that he's come to terms with retiring and that he was good enough to set himself up to be able to retire at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Awesome.
well, I'm sure we'll see him on like MLB Network. He seems like a TV guy.
Perfect.
He loves attention. All right. Let's get into a winner, though. The Mets finally on the winner's side because they announced that they will retire the number 16 for Doc Gooden and number 18 for Darryl Strawberry, and that'll be coming next year. Finally, a good decision. Finally, a win for the Mets.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you put win and Mets in the same sentence there. I feel like that's a big step for you.
Yeah. Don't worry, they've got time today. So
they sure do.
But yeah, Doc Gooden, Darryl Strawberry, undoubtedly legends of the game, Mets legends. So, glad that they're going to be honored. But my next loser, welcome back, the Mets to the losing side.
I knew it. It was too good to be true.
Yeah, dude, I had to set him up like that. Yeah, this was just hilarious. DJ Stewart was playing right field in the game against the Braves, and he is running to try and stop a ball that he like play a ball off the ground, and he realized it was kind of far, so he starts to lay out, and like you could tell he didn't quite time it up right, and the ball just like his glove is way ahead of the ball. The ball goes between his arms. He face plants into the ground and just slides across the grass on his face while the ball rolls past to the wall.
Damn.
Have you watched the video?
I have not seen
You have
that.
to watch. Just look up DJ Stewart fall. I'm sure you'll find it. I watched it. I put it up like to watch the video so I could write this, and then just left it on my screen for like 10 minutes. Just replaying. It's hilarious. But
were you wanting me to watch it right now, or?
yeah, go ahead and watch it right now. I just look, the Mets are losers. DJ Stewart, you're a loser just because you're a Met. But yeah, it's just the funniest visual because like you see where he like you see it in his face in like the slow-mo replay of like where he's like, oh shit. And he just face plants and just slides across the grass.
Dude, I can't find it. That'll have to be a post recording.
That's fine,
watch.
but it is genuinely hilarious. But I'll keep it in the NL East. My next winner is Bryce Harper. The guy is back. He's back to just hitting the ball very, very hard. The other night against the Giants, he had 4 batted balls over 110 miles per hour in that game.
Damn.
It's back. And that final one, I believe, was either a game tying or a go-ahead 3-run home run in like the 8th or 9th inning.
Yeah, you could also, call the Phillies winners in general for them being like the best team 13 games behind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like they're so good. They're playing so like they're not playing that great right now, 4-6 in their last 10. But overall, great team. Maybe Kyle Schwarber shouldn't be your leadoff hitter. That's a whole nother story. But 69-58 in the National League East is great. It's just that the Braves are 82-44 and have already clinched a winning season.
Yep.
I believe it's our 27th winning season in 33 years.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, pretty good. But my next loser, I'm just gonna do it. It's Brian Cashman, not the Yankees in particular, because we'll get to that. But Brian Cashman, because he's doing exactly what Aaron Boone was doing, which we talked about in prior episodes. Which he was just speaking loser talk, man. These guys have given up. It's so obvious. He said, I got a couple of quotes. It's been a disaster this season. It's definitely a shock. Certainly, I don't think anybody on our side of the fence, from our player group, from our coaches, our manager, or even outside the organization would have predicted this. It's a depleted roster right now in some areas. And then another quote, the fight is there, the care is there, the intent is there. It's hard to believe. And then the final quote, I think Booney's doing everything he can possibly do, just like all of us. How does that make you feel, Luke?
It's good that I feel like Brian Cashman is, he's saying what it is. He's literally, he's spelling it out, being blunt. But at the same time, hearing it come from Brian Cashman especially, it just pisses me off. Like, it's not like you didn't have the opportunities, so, don't give us that bullshit of like, oh, well, we tried. Why is Donaldson still on the team? He never got traded, did he?
No, he is.
Yeah.
I think he's either still there. He's on the IL,
I am
though.
Sure. Yeah. I am sure that Donaldson and Severino alone take up a lot of cap in our team. Not only that, but they're also just bad and have no signs of being good.
Yeah.
I mean, the only good thing that we did was offloading Aaron Hicks. I mean, he was like a dud on the team, but we got rid of him, which was good. But like, the Yankees should have been buyers this season, especially this season. And we just kind of sat there and played dead, brought in like 2 relief pitchers or something like that. Nothing that'll help the team tremendously. Yeah, so I guess all in all, I respect Brian Cashman for, being real with us, but I don't respect Brian Cashman in literally any other regard.
Yeah. So me and Colin, actually, we talked about it on the last episode. We've started doing a new segment on Wednesdays of MLB questions from Reddit, and somebody was talking just about the Yankees front office and Aaron Boone as well. And do you think Aaron Boone will be the manager at the end of this season?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think Brian Cashman will be the GM in 3 years?
No, not 3 years.
All right. That's all I wanted to talk about. We'll get into the Yankees, though, later. But my next winner, Leanne Palacios, the mother of Richie and Josh Palacios, both major leaguers. Richie of the St. Louis Cardinals, Josh of the Pittsburgh Pirates. She is the best fan mom this season that I've seen in the MLB. I can't say in all sports because the Kelseys, their mom's the best. But the Cardinals and Pirates were playing this week, and in between innings, she would change jerseys and hats. So when Richie and the Cardinals were batting, she wears a Cardinals jersey and a Pirates hat. And then when the Pirates are hitting and Josh is hitting, she wears a Pirates jersey and a Cardinals hat.
Dude, someone needs to give her like a split outfit, a split cap and a split jersey.
Yeah, that would be great if she got like the full split outfit.
That'd be so sick.
Yeah, I would love to see that. So
didn't Mama Kelsey rocks a split jersey, does she not?
Yeah, she does when they play.
Yeah.
But my next loser, oddly enough, the Rangers. They find themselves on the loser side. They've lost 6 straight games, and their lead over the Astros cut down to 1 game, and they only find themselves a game and a half ahead of the Mariners.
Wow.
And there is now a real possibility that they could just miss the playoffs. If they Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that's what we all would need.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that would save this season as a Yankees fan for me.
Yeah, like it's a very real thing that could happen right now, because if the Astros overtake them for first, and let's say the Mariners pass them as well, the Blue Jays right now are only 2 games behind the Rangers. So if the Blue Jays just play pretty good, which is exactly what they're doing right now, they could pass the Rangers and take the 3rd spot in the wild card as well.
Okay, I thought you said Astros. My bad. I do want the Rangers to make the playoffs. That was my fault. No, that's interesting though, because this one kind of snuck up on me too. They're on a 6-game losing streak.
Yeah.
But the Yankees are bad. Yeah. Whatever.
Okay, well, the Yankees are bad. They are worse.
They're horrible, actually, but yeah.
Man. But just like standings wise in the American League, it's really, at least in the wild card right now, the Rays have got it. They've got the top wild card spot essentially. The Astros will probably win the AL West, and then the Mariners look great. They also could win the AL West for all we know. And then the Blue Jays sitting right on the outside, but certainly have a chance to jump over the Rangers if they continue to play poorly.
Is there any reason why you didn't mention the Twins?
Mainly because I don't give a shit about what's happening in the AL Central.
I just had to get your reaction.
At this point, they're probably going to win that division. They have a 4.5 game lead. The Tigers and Guardians have kind of struggled after kind of surging towards them. Twins have kind of got it back on track, though they've lost 2 in a row, but their playoff percentage is looking like a 92.4 according to ESPN. So I'm gonna stick confident with the Twins, but the Rangers have a lower playoff percentage than the Astros right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah. It's wild, but let's talk about on the National League side. My next winner, the Diamondbacks. They are coming back, and they find themselves only a half game out of the wild card. They're tied with the Giants, and they've won 8 of their last 10.
Good for them. 4-game winning streak too.
Yeah. Though the Dodgers' fantastic August has soared over both of these two teams, the Diamondbacks and Giants are 11 and a half games back in the National League West. But, like I said, both a half game out of the wild card. The Reds and Cubs are, I think, tied. Yeah, they're just about tied. They're very similar records right now. And they hold the second and third wild card spot at the moment, which, first of all, is crazy because the top 4 in the American League wild card race all have 70 wins, and the Phillies have 69. They're in the top spot. They're 2.5 games ahead of the Cubs and Reds, who both sit 66 and 67 respectively. So, looks like the American League once again stronger win-loss, but we'll see how that goes. But in general, wild card in the National League is pretty interesting as well. Like I said, Giants, Diamondbacks, half game out. Marlins are only 2 games out, which is certainly obtainable.
What do you think about the Marlins being only two games out? You think they could make a run for it, or
I don't know. They haven't looked great. They've obviously slowed down a little bit, but yeah, like their last few, they've they went loss, win, loss, 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 win, loss, loss. That's kind of tough.
Yeah.
But if they can start to turn it around again, they could certainly use it. But they're very streaky. They lost 5 games in a row a couple weeks ago, and then they win 2, lose 1, win 3, lose 2, win 1, lose 3, win 1, and then another loss last night. Like, if they can just have a couple of consistent, like, pretty strong series wins, not even sweeps, maybe they could, actually, they definitely have a chance to move up because there's really no telling what the Giants, Diamondbacks, Reds, or Cubs do from here on out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is I feel like it's hard to predict some of those wild card teams because all season long they've been pretty inconsistent, but consistent enough to be in a wild card spot. So it is always kind of hard to look at the wild card and kind of predict what is going to happen, even in August.
Yeah. But let's move on. My next loser, Pete Alonso, that fucking loser.
Yes.
Bryce Elder finally got his revenge. Hit him with a light 89, square in the back. It was all fair. Like, and my favorite part of this is that the Braves fans were roaring after that. Like, It was amazing, the reaction of the Braves fans after he got hit. And I'm sure I am certain this is not the end of Pete Alonso being hated in Atlanta, but it's nice to see Bryce get his revenge on that piece of shit.
Yeah, no, I like it. I had that in my notes too. I'm very glad that we talked about that because that crowd roar after he gets hit, man, it's just brings a smile to my face.
Yeah, man, that's Braves country in full effect.
Yep.
But my next winner is Graham Ashcraft, a guy who hasn't been talked very positively of since like the first month of the season, but the guy has bounced back completely after a very bad, rather long stretch. So, in his last 10 starts, he's been pretty good. But I want to talk about the previous 10 before that. He had a 10 ERA across 10 starts. And then now in these last 10 starts, a 2.35 ERA. And since ERA became an official stat in 1913, no other MLB pitcher has had a 10-plus ERA over a 10-start span in a season, and then had a sub-250 ERA over any other 10-start span, let alone back-to-back.
Grayson, there is only one answer to this question of why this is happening.
All right.
Sticky stuff. It is sticky stuff.
Is it? Because I think we just had a guy get popped for it.
Yeah, we did. No, I'm completely joking. I don't want to take anything away from Ashcraft, on the comeback, but that's a pretty big drop. That's a pretty significant change in play.
Yeah, it definitely is. But then again, like he started off the season really hot, so maybe maybe he needed to figure some things out. By
Are you
chance, do you
fucking?
what?
Oh my, well, Clay Holmes is pitching for the Yankees right now. Top of the ninth, 2 outs, and the bases are loaded. We're losing 5-4.
Oof.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Looks like the Yankees lose.
Uh,
Um, do you what was the guy's name that got popped? Was it Suarez
man.
maybe?
Pitcher recently.
I'm trying to remember his name. I might have been the Padres pitcher.
Yeah, I'm not seeing
Yeah,
anything.
Robert Suarez.
Okay.
Looks like he was ejected for having sticky stuff on his left wrist and arm before he even threw a pitch in the 8th inning against the Marlins on Wednesday.
I don't even know why pitchers still use, like, obviously to get an advantage, right? But I feel like in like the era where like Trevor Bauer was like trying to expose like all the pitchers using sticky stuff, like especially Garrett Cole, like why would you even try it in today's baseball? Like
I don't know why.
To me, like you're always going to get busted. Oh, and the Nationals just scored, so that's great. But anyway, to me, you're always going to get busted.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way.
I don't really know. Like where else could you hide it where you couldn't get busted? I don't get it.
I don't know. Like I know I think it was like Bryce Elder maybe that was getting like rumored to be doing it because he'd always touch his hair. But when it comes to that, that's just getting what you're doing. It is technically cheating per se because you're putting rosin on your hand, and then you run it through your sweaty hair. You get the sweat and the rosin on your hand. It gets sticky.
Pretty sticky too.
Yeah. So, but I think everybody does that. Everybody's going to try and wipe the sweat off themselves when there's rosin on their hands. So,
yeah.
and it doesn't get sticky enough to where it's like, where like they'll pop you for it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the other side of that is it could just be like a player's tick. Some players just have ticks where like, you know, they're in the habit of like rubbing their hair, like, you know, rubbing their arm. You know, pitchers are very routine people, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, like there's plenty of pitchers that like after every pitch or like every couple pitches, they take their hat off and they like run their arm over their head just to get some sweat off because you don't want it running in your eyes.
Exactly.
But
it burns.
That's enough sticky stuff talk. My final loser is the Yankees, and there's nothing in particular, but let's just discuss because they have certainly been losers.
Yeah. Do want to mention though how good Aaron Judge has been. He's actually hit his 4th home run in 2 games today, which is just mind blowing. I think he's 4 home runs and 7 RBI now. But we're losing, and it looks like we're going to lose again.
I believe that was his first 3 home run game of his career.
Yeah, I think it was too. I don't know. I can't, Grayson, remember a time being a Yankees fan where even like the team mentality was this bad. Like the clip went around, I think like a month ago, and it just sort of panned around the faces of the Yankees, and they just looked dead. And I know we talked about that on the podcast too. Even in like the time period between the World Series in 2009 to like 2015, 14-ish, whenever we started, you know, being good again, that like 2010, 11, 12, 13 period, the Yankees were, you know, not that great of a team either, but there was always like a hope and an energy in Yankee Stadium within the players too. This team absolutely, you know, isn't showing it at all. And I wish Aaron Judge would step up as a vocal leader more. I think he's too calm of a player for this Yankees team right now. Obviously, he's doing it on the bat side. He's been absolutely amazing. But, like, there is just no energy, and it feels like no one on the team wants to step up to try to, like, you know, lead the team through this bad spurt, I guess is what's going on. Even Aaron Judge. So, I don't know. I'm critical of everybody right now. No one's safe.
I think it's been hard for him just because he was, you know, been dealing with this injury and, you know, it's probably looming. And for a guy like that to, especially a guy who throughout his whole career, without with the exception of last year, it was always like, can this guy stay healthy? And with having
Yeah.
that narrative around him, essentially every year he's played in the MLB, it's probably hard for him to, like, when an injury occurs like this, to be a leader, to have the confidence to not only just operate yourself at a high level on the field, but to boost the people around you. And there needs to be other leaders than one guy on the team. It takes way more than one guy to boost the morale of your team. First of all, it takes your manager, which I think Aaron Boone does a poor job of, personally.
Fair.
And it just seems like there's not another guy on this team that's willing to be a leader. DJ LeMahieu absolutely sucks dick. He is so fucking bad. He's not going to lead. That's just not what's going to happen. Same goes for Stanton, who is sucking this year. He's just not a leader. There's just not leaders on this team, with the exception of maybe Anthony Rizzo, who hasn't stayed healthy for like 10 games in a row all season.
Yep.
It just, and it's got to be a bat, because the pitching staff almost never going to be the leaders on a team.
Yeah. And I honestly don't know what the answer is. I don't even know of players from this Yankees team that even have trade value anymore at this point. And maybe that's, me being dramatic, but I, as a Yankees fan, can't even see moves that we could make. Not that we, need to make. I could give you plenty of those, but I don't even see moves that this team could make.
True.
I don't know.
I feel like free agency, depending on how you guys go after it, there could be some good moves here. Yes, Shohei's the guy. I still think it's a lost cause for the Yankees to pursue him, but nonetheless, there's going to be guys around the league that I think would be great pickups for this team. Travis d'Arnaud is going to be a free agent, but he's got a club option, so the Braves will probably keep him on. Mitch Garver would be a great option at catcher, as well as Omar Narvaez. I think those would also be great options. They're guys been in the league for a while, have been vocal leaders on their teams. First base, Joey Votto, definitely not leaving. That's not even a question. But maybe a guy like Brandon Belt could come in, who's going to be a free agent. Though maybe his bat won't be that valuable, which he's actually been pretty good this year. He could definitely be a vocal leader on a team. Second base, guy like Colton Wong, very vocal leader on his teams. Third base, I think Matt Chapman would be a good one. I think even just for veteran leadership, Evan Longoria, maybe he probably wouldn't come just because of the Rays connection. But there's just a long list of guys that they could go out and pick up that would be fantastic options for veteran leadership on this team. And it just seems like they've never prioritized this, at least in recent years.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But I pose a question back to you. All those players that you just named, you were thinking in terms of veteran leadership. Do any of those players that you just named, can you honestly see them, with how competitive the AL East has been this year, assuming that it'll be as competitive, if not more competitive next season, do you see any of those players making a dent with the New York Yankees against some of those AL East teams?
They certainly could. Guys like I just brought up Brandon Belt. He's literally playing in the AL East, and he's playing well.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's going to take a lot more, man. The Rays and the Orioles and even the Red Sox as of late just seem so far ahead of the New York Yankees. Everybody does. Even the Blue Jays seem like they have a little bit more kind of younger talent than the Yankees do. And that's kind of what I mean is we could look for the veteran leadership, but it at the end of the day, it is still about wins. Of course, the veteran leadership would help out with wins, but none of those guys that you named really jumps out to me and says this would certainly get us a wild card spot.
I'm not saying that those are they're not going to build the future, but I think that there's certainly guys that contribute to a positive culture on their team And that's what I feel like the Yankees are missing. Of course, the biggest thing they're missing is a strong farm system. Obviously.
Yeah.
Because you guys are not built to win right now, and you're not built to win in the future.
Nope.
But in the meantime, if you want to stay competitive, you're going to have to make those kind of moves.
Yes.
Because you can't just go out in the summer and just have a farm system. That's not how it's going to go. So either you guys need to be competitive, or you need to start trading away things for prospects.
Yep. No, I completely agree. Which actually, speaking of the Yankees, things are starting to heat up right now. Oh, and we just lost. I'm not even kidding. We had a runner on second and first with 2 outs, and Giancarlo fucking sucked or whatever. I don't know.
What a surprise.
Dude, actually, not to change the subject, he made a catch.
Surprising.
Yeah, I know. Just the fact he made a catch, it could have been a flyout. It's surprising. No, he actually looks like quite. If this makes sense, he made a very athletic play unathletically, which, I mean, what else would you expect Giancarlo to do?
Yeah, of course.
But no, the Yankees haven't lost yet. It's a runner on third and first. Giancarlo is the batter.
Okay.
And it's a 2-strike count, no balls.
Not promising. I do want to talk about this 9-game losing streak.
Go ahead.
So after that 9th loss in a row, this is crazy. This is the first time since 2000 that they haven't been able to hold a lead in over 60 innings played.
Wow.
Yeah, that's almost 7 full games.
Our first 9-game losing streak since 1982.
Yeah.
As well, that's another one to throw out there.
Brutal. Also, Rich Hill and Adam Wainwright are the only 2 players currently on a big league roster that were alive the last time the Yankees lost 9 games in a row.
Oh, wow. Adam Wainwright was alive in 1982?
Yeah, he's like 45.
I know, but Jesus Christ. I know, Rich Hill's getting up there too, but...
Yeah, Rich Hill's like 80.
Yeah, literally.
But yeah, any other closing statements for this Yankees discussion?
As much as I am pissed off right now, I still love this team. I love the pinstripes. Despite what any motherfucker will say about us, we're still one of the most important teams in baseball. And this is just me talking my shit because I gotta act like a Yankees fan sometimes. I can't always be bashing the team. So, I trust that there will be a blueprint soon. I just don't see one now. And I think that's how I want to close out talking about the Yankees.
All right. Well, let's talk about this weekend. It looked pretty exciting, and then kind of didn't, because I was excited for that Angel series to see Mike Trout and Shohei together. So that's down the drain. But nonetheless, Braves Giants, big one for the Giants for sure. Any other matchups you like? I have a couple more, but
keep going.
Rangers Twins is a big one for both of them. Really,
Rangers Twins.
Yeah. As well, Reds Diamondbacks.
Okay. Dodgers Red Sox.
Yeah.
Gonna be fantastic. Let's see. I'm not really seeing. I mean, you said Rangers Twins, right?
Yeah.
That one's kind of eh.
There's not a lot of good series this week.
No, I really think it's for me. Braves Giants, really excited to see that one, and then Reds D-backs, of course. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Also, the Rays are only 2 games behind the Orioles, so the Rays-Yankees series is important for the Rays.
Yep, and it'll be a good matchup too tomorrow as you're watching the episode, hopefully. Garrett Cole and Zach Eflin.
Yeah, not bad. We're seeing Strider and Logan Webb for Braves Giants.
Yeah, which is it's really funny because, Garrett Cole means that we're going to get 7 innings, probably like 8 or 9 strikeouts, but we're going to lose the game.
Yeah,
so,
it's almost certain at this point.
Yeah, it really is.
Let's see, any other good pitching matchups? Tanner Bibby versus Chris Bassett in Guardians Blue Jays. That's a good one. Yeah, that's about it. Not an eventful weekend, but a lot of good ones for like playoff implications.
Yeah, I'm Logan Webb and Strider. You already said that
Yeah.
one. Yu Darvish and Woodruff. This is all Friday games. Hendricks and Keller. That's going to be pretty decent. Both guys kind of low ERA ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Good weekend.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Clark Schmidt versus Tyler Glasnow. Battle of seeing who can get off the mound first.
Yeah. Oh my God, Urias and Paxton on Saturday.
Yeah, it's
That's
not
gonna
bad.
be pretty
Hunter
good.
Brown, Eduardo Rodriguez on Saturday. Astros Tigers. That's a good one.
Okay. Can I find another one?
Max Scherzer's pitching. Undecided matchup. Max Fried's pitching Saturday as well. That's an undecided matchup. A lot of undecideds this weekend, but
why is that?
it's probably just a matter of like somebody is out of the rotation and they need to figure it out, or like they're running on a 4-man rotation and they just keep bringing up a different guy, or like running a bullpen game.
Gotcha. Oh, this one's pretty exciting. Carlos Rodon comes back on Saturday. Well, or Sunday rather.
Yep.
I say exciting. It's not exciting. I just wanted to say his name.
Yeah. We haven't gotten a lot of opportunities to do that.
No, and I actually still have my MLB stuff.
Oh shit!
well.
I totally forgot.
And I have a lot of stuff that you didn't talk about. So, where to start? Okay, here we go. Zach Gallen, nothing new from him. Another masterclass showing on Tuesday. 6 innings, 7 hits. He gave up 1 run, which was a single run homer. 11 strikeouts though, Grayson. 6 innings. That's pretty great.
Great.
Ellie De La Cruz becomes the quickest MLB player to hit 10 home runs and 20 steals through 64 games. So congrats, Ellie. Always. Here's a questionnaire one, Grayson.
Right.
You love these. Zach Greinke has struck out 1,023 different batters. He passes Roger Clemens for 4th place on the list of pitchers who have struck out over 1,000 batters. Grayson, who are the top 3?
So it's like unique batters, I'm guessing.
Yes, different. People.
Nolan Ryan
is number 1.
Randy Johnson
is number 2.
Oh,
if you don't,
is this an old one or is it a recent one?
Older guy.
Older guy.
More in the recent old history, if that makes sense. So not like 60s, 70s, 80s. Like,
so we're talking like a 90s guy?
Yeah.
Pedro?
Big 90s guy. Not Pedro.
Ooh. And you already said Clemens, right? Was 4th?
Yeah. So you're missing number 3.
Ooh.
Greinke's 4th, Clemens is 5th, Nolan Ryan's 1st, Randy Johnson's 2nd, who's 3rd?
Shit. You said, oh man, 90. Could you give me like a team that they played for?
This guy was a part of a trio that was really good in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Then I guess I'll go Smoltz because he had the most strikeouts.
Maddox.
Really? Okay.
Is 3rd, yeah.
That makes sense because he pitched for a long time.
Yep. He has about like 70 or no, actually like close to 90 strikeouts less than 2nd place Randy Johnson. But anyway, I'm going to continue it. That was fun. Luis Castillo had a pretty good outing. I think it was earlier last week, maybe. He threw a 7-inning, 5-hit, 1-run game versus the White Sox, but that's not the story here, Grayson. 47 consecutive fastballs at one point.
Yeah, we actually talked about that on Wednesday.
Dude, how do you go 7 like after like I don't know, maybe pitch like 7? You would think that the batters would have to know what's coming at that point.
Yeah.
And that was just like I've never heard of a pitcher doing that before. That's amazing.
It's absolutely insane.
Here's a fun stat for you. From 1984 to 1986, Don Mattingly was 2 times as likely to double or hit a home run than to strike out.
Wow.
Yes. And then, of course, we already talked about Aaron Judge, but another Yankee player, Everson Pereira, collects his first RBI in the MLB. I think that was yesterday on the 9-1 rare win for the Yankees.
Yep.
And yeah, other news, Aaron Judge just looks ridiculous in these 2 games. And that was it for my news.
All right. Well, Luke, it's time. Your favorite part of the show for now 5 weeks. This is now 6 weeks running, as long as this remains your favorite part of the show. The
Oh, it will.
NFC South preview here. And
Yes.
let's start with the standings. I'll let you take the floor.
Oh man. See, I went Saints, Bucks, Panthers, Falcons,
You
but
motherfucker.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I think this division will be so close that I think fourth place will be even close to first place.
So the same thing as last year is what you're saying?
Basically, yeah. I think it's going to be a very competitive division. And I mean, even when I was writing the standings, like I couldn't really figure out like where to put these teams because I feel like they're all so even. It's just the one thing for the Falcons, as promising as they look and how underrated I think their offensive weapons are and how underrated their defense is, Desmond Ritter is still the quarterback, which automatically, in my opinion, makes them a fourth place team.
I don't know, because Buccaneers quarterback situation ain't great either.
Dude, it's Baker Mayfield, bro. He's played in the playoffs before. He'll be
Don't
fine.
give a fuck. All right, my
Weren't you the one
standings.
saying that he was going to be good?
I didn't. I said that it's a good situation for him because he gets to start.
Okay. I got
But
you.
I had to take the Falcons first because this division is so crazy it could happen. And then I got Saints, Panthers, Buccaneers.
Okay. I like it. You want me to get started with my dark horse?
Actually, I want to explain these
Okay.
rankings real quick. So Falcons, I'm biased, and I like our defense, and I like obviously Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and the possibility of Desmond Ritter being a serviceable quarterback.
Okay.
That's looming in my mind. The Saints, I think their offense is going to be a lot better than people think. Derek Carr is going to add a very strong element to this team that I think people are definitely underrating because he's got weapons. Chris Olave, Michael Thomas. He's going to get Alvin Kamara after a couple of games. I like his options, and I hate their defense, but I still think they're going to win some games off the offense. And
Yeah, no,
then,
I like that. And you didn't even bring up Jamal Williams plays for the Saints
yeah,
now, so
oh my
that's
God,
that's going to be your touchdown guy when
yeah.
AK comes back. And when AK's not there, he's their starting running back. It's they got it pretty good over there.
Exactly. And then for the Panthers, from what I've seen in the preseason, there is nothing there to help Bryce Young. I was happy with the addition of Miles Sanders and Adam Thielen because I thought that maybe they would make some other pickups. That was really it. I think Jonathan Mingo was a great pick, wide receiver, but there is zero people protecting Bryce Young, and he is way too willing to go down because of his size. They are going to struggle on offense, inevitably, because they don't have the offensive line to handle a quarterback of this style. He likes to stand in the pocket. He looks super cool, calm, and collected in the pocket for like 2 seconds, and then there's a defensive lineman in his face.
Yep.
That offense way too concerning. The defense, there's a lot of bright spots. There's also some weak spots. So their defense is kind of here and there. And then the Buccaneers in last, it's mainly just because I don't know what we're getting out of Baker. I don't even know if he's going to be the starter. There is really no telling what's going on there. But
No.
I don't know. I don't like this offense because it worked great for Tom Brady because it's fucking Tom Brady. It has even worked okay for Jameis Winston before.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how it's going to look with either Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask. I really don't. I think Mike Evans, of course, is going to be great. Chris Godwin is going to be great. That's it, though. Like, the defensive side, Devin White, Jameel Dean, Levante David, fantastic stuff. But it just seems like there's not enough there for me to be like, yeah, that team can win some games.
I don't know, man. I think that's where in all the things you said, I probably disagree with you the most because aside from quarterback, that Bucks team is still pretty complete. They have a lot of the same offensive linemen that were there with Brady as well. I think like majority. They may have lost a couple, but the defense especially, like they are all still there. Especially Jamel Dean signing that contract, which I'm very highly touted on him. I think he's going to have a breakout year. Vita Vea was a player you didn't name. He's still on that defense. And they still have better quarterbacks than the Falcons do.
Maybe.
And they still have Rashad White.
I don't think Rashad White's that good.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing in a loaded backfield, though, so I'd like to see how he can do, with him actually being the guy.
We'll see. But like, their other options at running back are Chase Edmonds, which is okay, and then like after that, it's a huge fall off.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's the opportunity for them to be good. I don't see Baker Mayfield as the guy to make them good.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely fair.
Dark horses, everyone.
I narrowed mine down a little bit. I went with the Falcons.
Fine by me.
Yeah, of course. I think their offensive line is underrated. They added, oh my gosh, Matthew Bergeron, the left guard out of Syracuse. I am very, very happy with that pickup. Very, very happy with the Chris Lindstrom extension. I think their offensive line is going to be underrated. The defensive additions are just like not getting talked about for some reason. Jeff Okudah, you can say whatever you want about him. I still remember him as like the 4th pick in the draft as a cornerback out of Ohio State. Of course, he was hurt in Detroit or just wasn't playing well. He's on a new team, and I still want to give him some more time. I think he's going to be good. David Onyemata, of course, the guy from, arch rival Saints, be good. They also got the Saints defensive coordinator from last year, Calais Campbell. Nobody is talking about the Falcons, man. And I think it's a little bit egregious, especially Jesse Bates. If you don't think Jesse Bates isn't going to make a difference on this defense, you're crazy, bro. Jesse Bates is so good at safety. And, yeah, that's why they're my dark horses. I think a lot of the draft additions and free agency additions for the Falcons are really going to help them out. No one's talking about them.
Yeah.
And especially, like, if you even want to go further, now we will get to see how good Grady Jarrett can be with help. And Grady Jarrett, he's a serious talent. I mean, shit, he's got a billboard in Atlanta. You can see it from 75. He must be a big deal. So, I mean, who's going to know how he's going to play with, not being the only guy on that D line. So I'm really excited for the Falcons. Really, really excited.
Yeah, I am as well. My reason for just picking everyone as the dark horse in this division is kind of the same reason, like you said. Like, anybody could be the winner. Anybody could be the loser. They're all going to have like the same record. So that was kind of my reasoning there. But let's get into MVP nominees of this division, because I don't think there's that many.
I have 4.
Okay, I have like a little bit of a longer list, only because I added some defensive guys.
Okay.
But you can go ahead and start.
I got Kyle Pitts, which is a little bit of a hot take, especially with how he was used in Atlanta last season, but I don't care. I will stand on the hill and die on the hill that Kyle Pitts is an MVP caliber tight end.
Agreed.
Already. He just has to get utilized and has to keep getting better because he's still young. So I already went ahead and put him as one of my MVPs. Alvin Kamara, when he comes back, had a little bit of a rough season last year, but I mean, it's still Alvin Kamara. And then Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
Okay.
Rounds out my list.
My list is pretty different then. I'm starting with Bijan, because he's gonna get so many carries.
There.
So that's gonna be the driving force there. And if he's any bit as good as I think he's gonna be, then he's gonna be one of the best players in this division.
Wow.
My second one, Derek Carr, just kind of the same reasons I said they can be good, is that he has weapons. And we've seen him with weapons. We've seen him be a very good quarterback. Though people want to deny it. Yeah.
I want to ask you a question. You think it's possible that Bijan Robinson could be the best running back in this division?
Yes.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, he's got some games in hand on Alvin Kamara this season, so
Already,
that helps him. It's not going to be Miles Sanders, because he is just so like right above average. And then
Yeah.
I already said I don't like Rashad White. So
Yeah. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
no, you're good. So yeah, Derek Carr, Mike Evans, of course, it's Mike Evans. He's automatic 1,000 yards. Kyle Pitts, kind of the same reasons you said. He can be fucking fantastic. We are very well aware of that. He's going to catch the ball if you throw it anywhere near him. The red zone is a question for sure, but I think that's just up to utilization and kind of the sets we're running in the red zone. But I think he's definitely an option. Then on the defensive side, Brian Burns from Carolina is so fucking good. I think he's just going to get better. And then the same goes for Marshawn Lattimore for the Saints.
Okay. I like that.
And then, yeah, I guess that rolls us into Defensive Player of the Year nominees. So I'll just start off Marshawn Lattimore, Brian Burns.
That's all you got?
No, that's just kind of the same two guys that carried over.
Oh, gotcha. Let's see. I also had Lattimore. I went with Honey Badger, Levante David, Devin White, Mario Davis, Cam Jordan, Jesse Bates.
All right. Yeah, I went Jesse Bates, Cam Jordan, Devin White, Levante David.
I'm so glad you didn't put AJ Terrell on your list. I thought it was coming, man. I really thought it was coming.
No, like I think he could definitely get back to what he was 2 years ago. And if he does, then yeah, he'll deserve to be on this list. I don't think he's going to that quickly.
Yeah, that's about what I would say about him. He's good talent. Just, hadn't been very good the past couple years. So
yeah, there's some learning to do.
For sure.
Rookies though, once again, I'm not that confident, at least deep into these rookies other than Bijan. Like, yeah, Bryce Young, he's a good quarterback. Does he have the tools to actually be utilized correctly? I don't think so. But he's still on the list because if something happens, yeah, he's going to be great. That kind of in turn puts Jonathan Mingo on this list as well, wide receiver for the Panthers. I think he could be great. And then another one, Brian Brisset.
Okay, yeah, I had everybody but Brian Brisset. So
right.
I also had Bijan, Bryce, and Mingo.
All right, cool. A sleeper for Rookie of the Year that I didn't put on surprise players to watch, Kalijah Kancey. Looks like he's going to start at defensive end for the Buccaneers. So
yes, I love that one. Yep.
So you didn't have any other rookies, right? Or you did?
Nope, just those three.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then surprise players to watch. I'll let you take this.
Okay. Yeah, because I have a bunch. So Jamel Dean, a lot of people I think would like to lean towards the fact that once a player signs a big contract, it's usually probably the season after will be one of the more kind of poor seasons they would have. You just sign a new contract. There's really no at that point incentive to keep being good unless you're just one of those players. But I think Jamel Dean is going to be great. Rashad White with the Buccaneers, I'm looking at him. Chris Olave and Michael Thomas. Look, Olave, obviously rookie last year. I think he can only get better this year, especially with Derek Carr at the helm. And then Michael Thomas, I do not want people to forget that Michael Thomas is still a complete superstar in this league when he is healthy. And I really, really can't wait for 2023 to see him, and I hope he stays healthy the whole time. And I put him on my surprise players list because I still think he'll, come out and surprise people. Jonathan Mingo, I think, is going to be great. Same with Von Bell, the new safety addition in Carolina from the Bengals. Love me some Von Bell. Jeff Okudah, as I said earlier. Drake London, I think, is another player that's going to take the next step for the Falcons. He was brilliant last year. He's going to be brilliant this year, I think, even better. Matthew, how did we say his last name?
Bergeron.
I think he's going to be great for Atlanta. Just another offensive line pickup. Kind of one of the dark spots in the Atlanta offense, I would say. So I think he's going to come clean it up. Brian Brees, like you said, he's also in my surprise players, and Kalijah Kancey.
All right. I have three. So.
Oh
wow. And I don't think you said any of them. Kendre Miller, running back for the Saints. He's a rookie, but I didn't want to put him in the Rookie of the Year one just because once Kamara comes back, I'm not too confident that he's been getting the snaps he probably deserves. But dude is a dog. I really like Kendra Miller, and I think he's going to work very well because, like, yeah, Jamal Williams will probably be the starting running back when, for the start of the season while Kamara's out. But I think Kendra Miller is going to be getting, like, the big snaps because, like, you're not going to use Jamal Williams on 1st and 10.
Yeah.
So, I think Kendra Miller is going to be getting those kind of snaps, and he's going to get the opportunity to show off, and I think he certainly can. My next one, Mac Hollins for the Falcons. Just the fact that outside of what he's done on the field in training camp, which has been good, he's had the good flashes, not overall like fantastic. It's not like he's like blowing me away, but I think he offers a pretty solid aspect, and like the way that he got absolutely fucking huge this offseason is crazy. But
I'm glad you brought that up.
yeah, also he's a great TikTok follow. He does educational TikToks.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, pretty cool. He also, outside of wearing cleats, is always barefoot. Doesn't wear shoes.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't use utensils. Guy's an animal.
Literally.
Doesn't wear shoes, doesn't use utensils. That is like first two things for an animal.
Yeah, that
first two things that I think of.
Animal. Yeah.
And then my third, Kyle Trask, because whether you like it or not, he's going to start at least like 1 or 2 games this season.
Dang, I feel like that could have been like a claim stake right there.
No, like he's going to, like whether it be he wins the starting job over Baker or Baker gets hurt, something is going to happen, and Kyle Trask is going to start games this season.
Okay, I like it.
All right. Well, overall thoughts on this division, it'll probably be one of the worst again.
Which, I honestly hate that term because it might be the worst, but if every team's like that, it's going to be super entertaining. And come like week 17, week 16, it's going to be a battle. So,
but like even in the differences of like how we talk about this division compared to how we've talked about the other divisions, it was like, yeah, anybody could win this division. The 4th place team could win this division. That makes it seem like it's not that, like there's not a great standout team here. And then for MVPs, there's not a superstar here.
Yeah.
There's not a superstar in the NFC South on the offensive side, at least. Defensive side, great. There's a bunch of big names, good stuff. Rookie of the year, Bijan's really the only option. But even in other divisions that have great teams, we still were talking about guys that can win it. Yeah. And then surprise players to watch, you just laid out a laundry list of guys that are like the primary players on these teams, are surprise players to watch, and it's for good reason. I'm not like saying that it's a bad thing that you wrote a long list. I'm saying you're right. There's so many guys in this division that are like actual core pieces of their team, and it's still going to be a surprise if they're good.
Okay. All right. I get it. Okay, it is the worst, but it'll be entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm going to be entertained. I'm going to be yelling at my TV all year.
Oh man.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. Maybe the Falcons sneak into the playoffs. A first-round exit would be fantastic.
Like I was just about to say, like, even to kind of bounce off of what you just said, none of these teams, obviously one of these teams will have to make the playoffs, but I can't see one of these teams being able to make a run.
Yeah, I'd like to vote on the NFC South as a whole giving up its playoff spot.
Oh, no.
That's how my confidence is looking going into this season for this division.
I love it.
That's where I'm at. We should give up our playoff spot. This should all be exhibition.
Awesome.
But seriously, I want the Falcons to play well, and like I'm gonna see like Bijan get like a 10-yard rush, and I'll be like, he's the guy.
That's how we all.
He could have a game where he goes like, he could get like 30 carries in a game and have like 75 rushing yards, but he had like a 25-yard touchdown run. I'm gonna be like, holy shit, like this guy, look at him.
Now here's a guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna be all fucking Chris Collinsworth on him. But that's going to wrap it up for the NFC South preview. Next week, we've got the North, and then we have the Beast and the NFL season preview, which I was so excited for the NFL season to start. I put that on the prep sheet on accident.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really excited to talk about it too.
Yeah.
And then when you said that it's, not time for the season to start, I was like, yeah, the Steelers and Falcons do play each other in preseason today, so it couldn't be starting.
Yeah, it definitely
So,
doesn't. We still have 2 weeks, but we're real excited for it to start. And yeah, let's talk about the Prem. It's a great start to the season. In my opinion, as an overall fan of the league, it's a great start. As a fan of Newcastle, it's okay. As a fan of Chelsea, I'm sure you have your opinions. And
yes.
I think I just want to start here before we get into like the actual matches this weekend. I'd like to hear your thoughts just on Chelsea overall in the start, and especially last week's match.
Well, as much as, I have high standards for Chelsea because, at Chelsea's a big team. We've won before. We're going to win in the future. But it is a young team, a lot of new moving parts. But even in saying that, I hate the excuse of, like, I don't think we should only have 1 point. I kind of fully expected at least 4. The tie against Liverpool was okay. The West Ham game was absolutely brutal. And it really just kind of came down to Chelsea were, and you watched the game too. We were texting during it the entire time. Chelsea were by far the better team, but West Ham, in the midst of getting shit on, and this is going to sound weird, but in soccer especially, there is a type of way you can get shit on and still win, and West Ham did that perfectly. It's counterattack. It's every player in the box. It's the goalie playing well. It's winning 50-50 balls, and West Ham, they were really good. They worked hard the entire game. They were pretty much defending the entire game, and they defended well the entire game. I mean, the fact that they held Chelsea to 1 goal after 90 minutes is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I want
So,
to say this because you said that like Chelsea looked great like throughout this match, or not great, but they were
promising.
yeah. It looked like
Yeah.
there was a goal to come. I think that was how I felt for the whole first half for sure. Strong attacks. Sterling looked fucking phenomenal in the
Yes,
first
he
half.
did. Props to
And
Sterling.
actually, he didn't even look that bad in the second half. But
No.
like you guys were feeding Jackson super well. Chukwuemeka scored a goal and looked very good. And then he gets hurt to end the first half. And when was the penalty kick in the first? Yeah, it was in the first half.
No, the penalty kick was all the way at the end of the game.
No, Enzo's that he missed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he didn't miss. He got saved, but that was so readable.
Yeah, oh no, yeah. It was one of the worst penalties I've ever seen. And, kind of thinking about it, Chelsea don't really have a penalty taker.
I was
Honestly,
about to say that.
I would throw in Thiago Silva, just over experience
Yeah.
alone to take a penalty, not, Enzo Fernandez. Did Enzo take a penalty in the World Cup final?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, I mean, I don't really feel as though as a Chelsea fan that the scoreline really reflected what the game looked like. And maybe I'm just completely delusional. Like, this is still an awful loss, especially when, you throw in the fact that West Ham got a red card in like the 67th minute, which is plenty of time for a team like Chelsea. 20 minutes is plenty of time for a team like Chelsea to score 2 goals with a team 10 men down.
Yeah, except after that red card, they looked significantly worse.
Yeah. So, I think overall, to go back to the question that you asked me, because we kind of went off on tangents, Chelsea look okay. And as a Chelsea fan, I'm not really worried about it, but I kind of am worried about it, if that makes sense.
Yes,
I like our starting 11. I love the formation. I don't love the fucking injuries. Our entire team has been made out of glass. Dude, I saw this stat. Chelsea have had, since January, something like 47 players go down on injury and miss games. Because you had Reece James, who's out for a couple weeks now. He didn't play against West Ham. Chukwuemeka scores a goal and then gets hurt. And this week, Reece James is out again, and so is Mykhailo Mudryk. It just is continuous for us. And I don't know. I feel like with Chelsea, there's a lot of things that you can kind of take 50-50. There's a lot of good things. Like, you can see the blueprint. The young players are here. They're getting adjusted. But there's also a lot of bad things, too, that are still in the team.
definitely.
Yeah,
But
we didn't even talk about Moises Caicedo.
yeah,
either.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
I know everybody. Okay, he had a bad fucking debut.
Yeah, he did.
We'll get that off. We'll go ahead and get that in the air. But I think it was just a matter of him trying to do too much, and it was maybe not the game he should have come into.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to play box to box, which I get. That's what his role is going to be. It's your debut. You haven't even been training more than like a couple of days with the team.
Yep.
I don't think he was. I don't think it was the best timing for him to come into a game. I think it would have been totally fine and justified if they didn't bring him in and they let him play this week.
Yeah, I mean, he came in for Chilwell in the 61st minute, which, of course, I think my excitement to see Moises Caicedo debut took away from the fact that subbing out Ben Chilwell, who actually started as the captain for that game,
Yeah.
I don't really like it, man. Ben Chilwell, I get that he's a defender, and you're replacing him with a center mid in a game that you're losing, in a game where West Ham are just going to be clearing the ball out, probably like one or two players versus like maybe 5 to like 3 Chelsea players. And Moises Caicedo is probably going to win the ball from one of those attackers every time and then put it back into the other box for us to keep attacking. I think that's why we subbed him in. But for Chilwell, honestly, I would have rather, and I know this sounds kind of crazy, I would have rather it been like maybe Gallagher or Enzo that came out.
I would have much rather been Gusto. He looked so fucking bad.
I don't know. He had a 70 or 7.2 rating. I like Gusto.
I don't know. It just seemed like he wasn't playing the same. Like, it's hard to say that he should have been playing the same role as Reece James because Reece James plays that role so well.
Yep.
It just seemed like if you had Reece James in that game, he would have been setting up Sterling so well because Sterling was having to build things on his own. It seemed, especially in the first half, and he was doing a good job of it. Into the second half, he can't just keep doing that over and over again and expect something to come out of it. He needs somebody to help him out. That's what Reece James's role is a lot of the time. He's helping out the attack on the right side. Gusto just did not seem to have the I don't know what it really was, but he just wasn't getting up into the space that he needed to be in. It didn't seem like he was getting up into the corner where Reece James is comfortable being. And then on the defensive side, it just seemed like he always needed help.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a fair assessment as well. But back to Moises Caicedo, I don't agree with him coming out for Chilwell because Chilwell can do so much for your defense, so much for your offense.
Yeah.
Even we could talk about Mykhailo Mudryk. He finished with a 7.2 rating, but I would argue that he was largely ineffective the entire time he was in the game. He played. He got subbed in obviously for the injured Chukwuemeka, so he started the second half. And where you're going to find Mudryk dangerous is when he has space to show off that speed, whether it's making a run or whether he actually has the ball. And it looked like in this Chelsea formation, I don't know if it's the same in the software that you're using, but on SofaScore, which is what I use, you have Nicholas Jackson as your striker. And then Chukwuemeka and Raheem Sterling are almost like two cams.
Yeah.
And of course, they're going to go out wide, but it looked like Mykhailo Mudryk kind of took that cam spot to heart, and he was like playing way too close to the middle of the pitch, which is where he was marked all the time. And when Mykhailo Mudryk is marked, he really isn't that effective at all. He doesn't really seem to get open through good coverage. It almost seems like he needs to start out completely free, and that's when he's most effective, and we didn't see that at all.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think they need him to go out wide. You can allow Gallagher to come up the field a little bit and kind of not replace Chukwuemeka's spot, but at least fill in that hole if Mudryk goes out wide, because he needs to be out wide. He needs space to make himself look good, honestly.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just seems like they didn't do that. But let's move on from this. I'm going to talk a little bit about Newcastle to start the season. 2 matches in, the Aston Villa match was fantastic, obviously, and I talked about that. This match was a little bit different. Man City, we lose 1-0, and it just seemed like there was too many guys having an off day, is what it looked like. Like it was really Tonali and Almiron on the right side that really, really caused some issues. Anthony Gordon wasn't great either, but honestly, wherever you put him, Harvey Barnes needs to be starting, whether it's on the right, the left, fucking goal. I don't care. Harvey Barnes needs to be on the field, and Almiron does not. Sadly.
Yeah.
It just seems like he looked good in that first match, but that's because we blew it open. I just think that there's something missing there, and I think that was hurting Tonali as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But, you know, also, I want to kind of ease your senses a little bit, and I know you already know this, but it was against Manchester City.
Yes, I get that.
Even in this coming week, you know, we're about to talk about it. Newcastle are going to play Liverpool. So it's another tough challenge that they're going to have to face. And, you know, their team is pretty, I would say, like, kind of new. You have some moving parts there. You did get to see Livramento, finally. He came on for Almiron, which is nice. I really do think that this beginning part of the season for Newcastle, you know, with how hard that their schedule is going to be, this is where they're going to need to prove it. And of course, like, yeah, you take a 1-0 to Manchester City. I mean, a 1-0 to Manchester City, I feel like is kind of rare. If you're not going to score against Manchester City, I would have expected them to score 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But Newcastle did hold them to 1 with that amazing defense. And, you know, like I said, you're going to be able to prove it against Liverpool, and then you're going to be able to prove it in the next game. So I wouldn't be too worried as a Newcastle fan, but, I mean, this kind of was a bummer game. You would have liked to have seen them be more exciting, maybe at least score 1 goal.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for from Newcastle. Is like, first of all, big ups to the defense because you shut down Erling Haaland. You made him look human in this match, which was crazy. The amount of times they stopped him in the box, phenomenal. Phil Foden was another story. Let me tell you. But, like, Daniel Byrne did not look great on the left. But it doesn't help that Joelinton didn't help him out very much. So Phil Foden was all over him. Rodri was all over him. Alvarez scored the goal. He played very well. The goal definitely made him look much better. The best thing there for him outside of the goal was the passing. He was passing super well, but then Haaland would get shut down or Grealish would get shut down. Grealish looked really bad. But the rest of their team just was so solid. Their defense across the board was great. Vardiol didn't even have like the best game out of the defense, but he was the one that stood out to me watching this match.
Holy shit, they didn't even make a sub.
Yeah, that's the part that irks me.
Why did they not make a sub?
It makes me feel like it's insulting to be like, none of our guys are tired.
So if you're the Newcastle manager, you're not shaking Pep's hand after the game.
No, Eddie Howe should have punched him in the fucking face.
Palmed his bald head.
Yeah.
No, I want to highlight, you know, Mateo Kovacic. Obviously played the entire 90 minutes, and he, of course, I didn't watch the game, but he had a pretty solid rating to finish. What did you think about Mateo and his new team?
I think he looks good. I think he's doing exactly what I said he would.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. He's just playing that like calm playmaking role in the midfield.
Yep.
And it's all he needs to do.
I like it.
I will say that I think the reason they didn't make subs is because there's like nobody on this bench right now. Like De Bruyne and John Stones and Bernardo Silva were all out. Silva is back. He's not leaving. We'll get to that in transfer news. But with John Stones, who was out, I think he's out for like another week. Maybe he might even be back this week. And then obviously De Bruyne is out for months. But they weren't going to bring in Calvin Phillips because they were very close to getting rid of him. Ake, you didn't really need to make a sub in the defense, so that wasn't, pressing. And then Cole Palmer didn't look all that great last week. He was pretty good. But I don't know. You weren't going to bring him in for Foden.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Honestly, looking at Manchester City's bench, you're kind of right. Like, you have a lot of numbers that are like 52, 87, 80. And that kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, that tells the story. When there's a 52 on the bench, that's why they're not making subs. But I'm not even mad at Newcastle though with this performance. It's just like I said at the beginning, it's just a couple of off days.
Yeah, I mean, I respect that from you.
All right. Well, let's talk about this weekend. We'll start here. Arsenal Fulham. Um, I don't know how to feel about this one. Do you have that same read here?
No, not really. Arsenal are one of the three teams that have 6 points. They've won both of their first games, and I think that they will continue to win this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, because like
Um,
Fulham is weird to me because they looked fucking atrocious against Brentford last week, which is crazy because I think Brentford
yep.
is very bad. It doesn't help that, you know, Ream got sent off in the 64th, but nonetheless, yeah, Brentford just looked very good. And then, Arsenal, they look great. What can I say? But they've played Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. So they're
Yeah.
coming up against a defense that I actually like with Fulham's defense. I think they're pretty good. Obviously, they'll be missing Ream because he got a suspension. But Robinson, Diop, Tete, I like both of them. Or sorry, all three of them. We'll probably see. I'm trying to think like who else is even on this bench in defense, but um, is Tosin Adara Bioyo still there? I don't even see him up there. Dude, I'm only seeing 4 players on their bench outside of who got subbed in last week. So
For Fulham,
yeah,
let's
not a lot
see.
of options.
They have Kevin Mbabu.
Yeah,
He's kind of
he's
sick on FIFA. I like
definitely a
him.
guy that could come into the game, but nonetheless, like yeah, Arsenal's probably gonna win. I think that's pretty obvious, but I don't know. I can't get a good read on Fulham yet.
Yeah, they're kind of one of those like they were mid-table last year, but they also kind of have had like I feel like a little bit of a shaky start to this season. So yeah, it is a little bit too early to kind of predict Fulham. I think I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and how tough is that, dude? Yuri and Timber out till January.
Oh, I know,
Brutal.
brutal.
And then
Jinx, give
it
me a
looks
soda.
like that's 2 episodes in a row, Luke. But it looks like Falarin Balogun is out right now and might be on the way out. So that's tough. Tomayasu is suspended for this match. And Gabriel Jesus is doubtful. So I think he was out last week. Though they still got the win over Crystal Palace. It definitely seemed like they were missing something in attack.
100%. Yeah, you would kind of expect a team like Arsenal to obviously rack up more goals, especially with how good they were last season. But Kai Havertz and Declan Rice just kind of meh.
Yeah, Declan Rice kind of needs to step it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean he finished against Crystal Palace with a 7.3, but I don't really know if you could say he altered the game like you would expect him to.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Kai Havertz again, another player that I feel like just needs more time to settle in. So
I do like Odegaard and Saka on the right. I think they work well together there.
yeah, I like that too. But maybe the lack of goals could just be Gabriel Jesus being hurt, like you
Yeah.
said. Not to say that Nikita is a bad player or anything. It's just Gabriel Jesus is leagues above him. I feel like as far as experience and actual just goal scoring ability. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like an interesting substitution to bring on Jorginho for Nikita or Keita. It's just that's kind of got a little question marks there. But yeah, I feel like they probably could have taken a better approach going into the second half on this one and maybe brought in a little bit of help off the bench, maybe like Smith Rowe maybe could have helped the attack a little bit because Martinelli was kind of struggling, but in the end, like they still played well. They just don't have their full team out there.
yeah. How about Thomas Partey on the right?
Yeah,
I've never seen him play right back before.
very
He was
interesting
actually,
move.
yeah, he was their best rated player from Crystal Palace game too.
Yeah, he looked really good. So just the right side of the field, fantastic. Left side, different story.
Yeah, exactly.
But score predictions wise for Arsenal Fulham, I think we're looking at like a 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, 2-0 Arsenal. I would go 3, but just, with what we highlighted with Gabriel Jesus being out and, Nikita having struggles scoring, I feel like it could probably only be 2-0, maybe even another 1-0. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be. I'm looking at a goal for Saka and trying to think. I don't know. Martinelli looked bad last week. Maybe a goal for Emil Smith-Rowe. I think he'll come in the game, score a goal late.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say the same thing. I bet he'll come on and score.
All right, our next matchup, two teams that we're just kind of being forced to talk about. Brighton,
Bro, what do you mean?
West Ham.
Dude, Brighton are with Arsenal and Manchester City.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Teams.
These two teams
okay.
are playing so good that we just have to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were saying like, oh, we gotta talk about it, but I read your context wrong.
Yeah,
But,
look, Brighton is very, very good.
Yeah, Brighton's last two games, they've scored 8 goals and conceded only 2. So they're both 4-1 wins. You really couldn't start better than that.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you could score 5 goals and concede no goals.
Or you could have played better teams.
Yeah, Luton and Wolves, you really can't just XP farm off of those these days. So, yeah, I get that.
But then on West Ham's side, they have the tough start, 1-1 Bournemouth, but they've got to be riding so high off that win.
Oh, yeah, especially, with Chelsea being their rivals, too. And it was like a hot game. Obviously, with, Gallagher pushing Paqueta down. I texted you about that. That was kind of one of the funny moments. But, yeah, if I'm a West Ham fan and player, I am riding very high off the Chelsea game. And, they're going to have to take it to Brighton, though, because Brighton, like we just said, have looked crazy.
Yeah, and West Ham will be missing a Garrett in this one. So a little bit of a hit on the defense, but, you still have Ogbonna as an option there. So not too much difference when you swap those guys out. Yeah, they play a little bit different, but Ward-Prowse looked fucking phenomenal in his debut.
Assist?
Yeah, and 2 assists, I think. I think he had both the assists. He had the assist on the corner and then the assist for Mikel Antonio's goal.
Yeah, you're exactly right, actually. Yeah. Imagine James Ward-Prowse getting an assist off of a set piece.
Yeah, exactly. Set piece merchant.
Yep.
But Edson Alvarez, we didn't see much of. He came in the 81st, and subbed on for James Ward-Prowse. I have a feeling we might see him start. I think there's some things that they can move around in this lineup that would work very well. I've heard that they could consider putting Ward-Prowse out wide. I just don't think that would work very well. I don't like that. But if you can work Edson Alvarez into this lineup, and it's the hard part is that you have your ideal midfield right now: Paqueta, Soucek, Ward-Prowse.
Yep.
So it's hard to work in Edson Alvarez, but maybe you give him a chance over Soucek or over Ward-Prowse this week. It's really just up to whatever you want to do because you have a lot of options. Pablo Fornals looked pretty. He was okay coming into the 76. He didn't really have to do much at that point, but overall, like West Ham looks great. The defense is pretty good. It could definitely be better. Emerson looked a little bit lost facing Sterling, but otherwise had a great game. But then, like on the left side, like Chukwuemeka was absolutely flaming Kufal over and over again, as well as Joel. They were both just exposing him. But Areola had a great game and goal, of course, saving that penalty. I don't know who I like in this matchup though. Brighton, West Ham.
I would have to go Brighton, but going back to one thing that I wanted to talk about something that you said that was interesting. So, is Lucas Paqueta leaving or not?
No, that's officially not happening, at least in this transfer window. At least to Man City.
Okay, so that to me kind of hurts Edson Alvarez's chances, because what I was going to say is if Lucas Paqueta was still to leave, just play without a cam. Play with a third center mid and have Edson Alvarez play it. Or maybe Fornals could play that cam role. But I would prefer Alvarez to start over Fornals, but that's just me. Because personally, might be a hot take, but I wouldn't feel comfortable as a West Ham manager to replace Thomas Soucek just yet, the Czech Republic center mid. He is a very underrated Premier League player. And of course, Edson Alvarez might be kind of a bigger name with his transfer and with what he's done for Mexico, but still don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I don't really know where Edison Alvarez finds his place in this lineup with Lucas Paqueta.
And I don't think
So
they have to find his place just yet.
no, they don't.
But
I mean, it is, from the Edelweiss to the Premier League, you don't necessarily, you're not guaranteed a starting spot. I mean, their league's different.
yeah, it's super
Quality,
different.
so, yeah.
I really can't think of a score here. I'm leaning West Ham, but then like Aguerd is out, and I have questions with their attack. Also, Paqueta, they could not have to deal with him either because he could get a lengthy suspension for betting on games. They were talking about that often in the match last week, so
Yeah.
that could be a way that Edson Alvarez gets in the lineup.
There was actually some fishy evidence against him too. Like he would I forget what he would do, whether it was like maybe getting subbed out at certain times or he would get hurt at like, certain suspicious times. So like I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I heard, but yeah, we'll have to see how that develops because that could be very, very interesting for West Ham. In the weeks ahead. But I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Brighton. I think it's pretty simple here. Brighton have scored 8 goals and only conceded twice. West Ham have not done that. So I'm gonna go 3-1 Brighton.
All right, I'm gonna go 2-1 Brighton.
I like it.
All right, our final matchup. Once again, Newcastle. It's this tough stretch we're on. Newcastle versus Liverpool. This is a fantastic matchup. First of all, I think these two teams match up very well, especially from what we've seen from Liverpool so far. So I'm excited for this match.
Yeah, me too. Kind of like with what I was talking about earlier, it's exciting to me because Newcastle still have a lot to prove, and it's a perfect opportunity to try to prove it against a team like Liverpool, right? Let's see. And then on the other side, I feel like a lot of people have been dogging on Liverpool, like you and I. Second and Short podcast has not been a fan of Liverpool, especially in this transfer window. And I feel like they still have a lot to prove. They probably still need to sign that holding midfielder, honestly.
Yeah, I think they did officially sign Wataru Endo, but that's really I've seen. I think we'll talk about it in the transfer news, but I believe they've shown interest in Gravenberch as well.
Yep, which we talked about that on the podcast as well. Previously.
Yeah, Wataru Endo actually showed up. He got subbed on in the 63rd against Bournemouth last week.
Yeah. I think my thoughts on this one is if Newcastle had drawn or maybe even lost like 2-1 to Manchester City instead of 1-0, I probably would have had Newcastle beating Liverpool. But with how they played against Manchester City, it makes it quite difficult for me. I'm going to go 2-2 draw.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. There's questions surrounding Mohamed Salah. He could be leaving, to go to Saudi Arabia, so that definitely kind of throws a wrinkle in this Liverpool lineup. But
Yes.
I got a feeling that won't be done just yet this weekend, so we could still see him in the lineup. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be hard to beat Liverpool for sure. But I think the physical defense for Newcastle works very well against this attack for Liverpool because it's a lot of it's skillful guys. That's kind of that whole front line is based on speed and skill, and I think the physicality might beat them out in that in that range or whatever the fuck I'm trying to say. But
I understood you.
I don't know. I'm thinking 2-1. I think we'll get back on track.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, actually looking at it now, Liverpool's last game was against Bournemouth. They beat Bournemouth 3-1. I think Bournemouth also had a red card as well.
I think
Liverpool had the red card.
Alexis
McAllister did.
Yeah,
you're right. Endo did get his debut. He came on in the 62nd minute for Gakpo. They actually went with Diogo Jota as their striker, and Luis Diaz and Mohamed Salah were the two wingers around him. So Darwin Núñez did not play, or he
got subbed.
Did not start. Yeah, he subbed on, but very late in the game too. That could have been though, just because Luis Diaz was having a monster game. So yeah, no, I like what you said. I think Newcastle's their defense matches up with Liverpool's front three super well, and Newcastle they're a more well-rounded team than Liverpool right now. As we've talked about before, Liverpool still do not have that holding midfielder, at least one that will start regularly. At least I said at least twice there, but that's okay. So yeah, I think Liverpool's front three is what they're going to count on, but Newcastle will be able to match it, which is why it's going to be a tough game.
All right.
For Liverpool. Yep.
I like it. Historically, this is not a good matchup for us.
That's okay.
I'll just put that out there. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, as I'm excited for all of these matches we've played. It's been a fantastic way to start my fandom.
Yes.
Stressful as well. But yeah, so I've got them 2-1. What was your prediction? Sorry.
2-2.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Well, just to talk about the table a little bit, I know we're only 2 games in, but Brighton, Manchester City, and Arsenal, the only teams 2 wins. Brentford, Liverpool, Tottenham, and West Ham all have a win and a draw. And then Newcastle, Villa, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Man U, and Fulham have a win and a loss. And then Bournemouth, Chelsea, Sheffield, Luton, Burnley, Wolves, and Everton have not won a game.
Dude, how about Luton Town has more goals than Everton and Burnley combined right now?
Let's go.
Dude, I can't wait for that first home game. We should go.
Oh, no.
We need to get tickets and just go.
Yeah. And then other matches around the league this weekend. We got Chelsea-Luton tomorrow, Friday. So today, as you're listening, Chelsea versus Luton Town at Stamford Bridge. Bournemouth-Spurs. We already talked about Arsenal-Fulham. Brentford-Crystal Palace. Everton-Wolves. Man U. Nottingham Forest. And then Brighton-West Ham, of course. Burnley-Aston Villa, which I think could be an okay matchup. Oddly enough. I don't know why, but I don't know. I think it could be fun. I think it's just going to be a goals galore for Aston Villa on that one. And then Sheffield United, Man City, same thing. Definitely a lot of goals. And then Newcastle, Liverpool, and that's it for the week. So a good weekend here in the Premier League. Let's talk transfer news. We've got quite a lot going on. We'll start with the Mason Greenwood stuff. It's so touchy. It's a touchy subject. But Manchester United have announced that Mason Greenwood will leave the club. I think it's been like a week and a half since they said he was like being reintroduced into the team. It's just so weird. And now like it looks like Manchester United are really under pressure from everyone. So like people within the team and like the front office are pressuring them to donate any potential transfer fee they receive to charities that fight domestic abuse. I heard that players from their women's team were going to publicly criticize the team if they kept him. And then like Saudi Arabia somehow got involved. I guess their clubs are reluctant to they're reluctant to allow their clubs to sign Greenwood.
That's pretty funny. You would have think that they would have made him the highest fucking paid player over there.
Yeah. Well, apparently like at least Saudi Arabia, like they have started like supporting a women's league. I guess they're trying to make advancements in. So that would kind of be tough. Steven Gerrard he called the rumors of Mason Greenwood being linked to Al Attifaq fake news, because they certainly are. He's definitely not going there. And then this is actually a nice thing. Jamaica are offering, or they're interested in offering Mason Greenwood a chance to switch his international allegiance from England to Jamaica so that he can try and rebuild his career.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there's one good thing happening to him.
Yeah. One.
But yeah, this whole thing is so hard to deal with because, you know, it's a matter of person over player. And if people think that there's, you know, an issue with the person, he shouldn't be there. And that seems to be the conclusion they've come to.
Yep, that's kind of what I'm getting at too.
And yeah, let's move on to the next thing though. Manchester City likely to loan out Calvin Phillips this summer just to try and get his career back on track. Supposedly, Liverpool are interested. as they should be for any defensive midfielder that's on the market.
Yes. Yeah, I actually like that move for Liverpool. I feel like it's kind of a safe option to get a player that is already in the Premier League, like to keep them in the same league. They're already used to it. They don't have to move country. It's nothing crazy like that. So I feel like it's a win-win for Liverpool and Calvin Phillips if that were to work out.
Agreed. But next thing, Kylian Mbappe has suggested the name of Antoine Griezmann to the management at PSG, and Griezmann's only got a 25 million euro release clause in his contract, so it wouldn't be hard to get him. Is this Mbappe trying to bring in some friends, or is this Mbappe trying to bring in his replacement?
I think his replacement.
Yeah.
I think it's his replacement. Well. I like this move for PSG, honestly. Antoine Griezmann could probably finish his career there. But I don't want them to forget about Gonzalo Ramos. I really want
I don't think they are. They spend a little bit of money on him. So
yeah, they did. For sure. And he's already been playing with him as well, too, and they're starting 11 or coming off the bench, so that's at least good. But, obviously adding Antoine Griezmann would add depth to his position. It would add more competition, so I just feel like I had to say that.
Agreed. Next thing, though, Manchester City have reached a total agreement with Rennes to sign Jeremy Doku for just over 60 million.
Exciting. Jeremy Doku could be the next Eden Hazard. So I like that move a lot. Not that he's going to City, but
that's true. But yeah, I definitely agree. I think he's a very promising player. West Ham are close to reaching an agreement with Ajax to sign Mohamed Kudus, so they're trying to just clean out Ajax of all of their promising talent. I think they got a bid of like 40 plus 10 and add-ons denied. So it's looking like they want 60 or more.
Dang.
Yeah.
They've given the Dutch a lot of money over there, haven't they?
Don't they always, though? It seems like every transfer window, somebody leaves Ajax for a lot of money.
Yeah.
But the next one, Eintracht Frankfurt are standing firm with PSG and demanding 100 million euros for striker Randall Kolomuani.
So on a previous podcast,
you called him a defender.
I called him a defender, and I even had it in my reminders to correct myself on. So that was, I think, 2 podcasts ago. Forgot to do it last podcast, but I'm going to do it now. Yes, he's a striker. I always knew that he was a striker. I just messed up and said defender. But back to the task at hand. Yeah, he is, in my opinion, worth $100 million. I do not dispute Frankfurt at all for that. PSG really want another striker, though.
Yeah, I think they're just going to buy every single striker in the world until they have all of them, and then they're going to complain when they want to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man.
But next move, Chelsea will sign Jord Petrovic from New England Revolution for 16 million euros.
Yep, some goalie from the Balkans. We needed it. I really don't know much about this guy, despite, us living in America. Grayson and I have decided that fuck the MLS.
Yeah, we're boycotting the MLS until it's good.
Yeah, exactly. Even with Messi there.
Yeah,
but
I like the only MLS that I'm taking in is Messi goals.
Yeah, that's pretty much me as well. Yeah, we needed a goalie to replace Kepa to give Roberto Sanchez some more competition. So I like this move for Chelsea. It's a good one.
Agreed. Next thing, though, Bayern Munich are not ruling out the possibility of selling Ryan Gravenberch this summer. Liverpool, of course, like we said, have been interested, and so is Manchester United because they just need more midfielders, I guess.
Imagine if he ends up at United instead of Liverpool, man.
Dude.
Someone needs to lose their job if that happens.
Honestly, at that point, I would be okay with the Everton fans clowning them.
Yeah, I would too.
Like, with as bad as Everton's going to be this year, they would be allowed to clown Liverpool fans for that.
100%.
We talked about this earlier, but Manchester City's move to sign Lucas Paqueta has entirely collapsed. It is completely off. Could happen in January. I think the biggest part here, other than transfer fee, is that pending investigation.
Yeah, but on the Manchester City side, what does that mean for their midfield? They lost De Bruyne. They, I guess, still want to get rid of Bernardo Silva. We don't really know what's going on with him anymore.
I'm pretty sure he signed a contract. I think it's somewhere in here. Pretty
Oh,
sure he
okay.
signed an extension and will stay.
Okay, well then I guess that kind of fixes it. Maybe, with that being said, maybe you don't really need Lucas Paqueta anymore. I think he's a great young player. That would have been a good addition to Manchester City, but I guess it's not really that big of a deal with Bernardo Silva extending.
Yeah, exactly. Next move, though, Aymeric Laporte is on his way out. He is officially a part of Al Nassr.
Yep,
Not surprised.
not surprised.
But I am actually pretty happy about this move here. PSV have signed, not PSG, PSV have signed Serginho Dest on a season-long loan from Barcelona with an option to buy for 10 million. With that low of a fee, I think they would have to buy him.
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like that's honestly a really low fee for him. I mean,
I don't know. He's very much like out of favor at Barcelona. I think they're just trying to get rid of him.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't really have the best season at Milan, but he's still, a fast, offensively good, right back that I would want him on Chelsea. Better than Cucurella.
True.
Anybody's better than Cucurella, but yeah, I feel like that's quite cheap for him.
Yeah, agreed. But our next move, Bournemouth have completed the signing of American midfielder Tyler Adams from Leeds. £20 million fee, 5-year contract. He's back in the Prem.
Ah, man. Do you like this move?
I like that he's back in the Prem. That's it.
Yeah, but wouldn't I would have liked to have seen him gone up from Leeds, not, I feel like Leeds to Bournemouth is very horizontal for him.
It is.
And he needs to go up, especially a 5-year contract. Like that's, I don't really know. It feels like to me, soccer players rarely ever finish out contracts because there's so many transfers all the time. But 5 years is a long time to play at Bournemouth for a young potential or a promising player like him.
I think the play here was put him under contract for 5 years because if he's very good, we don't want him to walk for free.
Yeah.
I think that's the main play there for 5.
But create all the hoops for the team that wants to sign him in 4 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But our next move, Al Ittihad. They're in preliminary talks with Manchester United's Rafael Varane. It looks like personal terms are agreed. I don't know how willing United will be to give him up, though.
Yeah, Varane, in my opinion, really hasn't been that great at Manchester United compared to Real Madrid, but I feel like he's still a very important player to Manchester United. So, like you said, I don't really know how, willing they're going to be to get rid of him as well.
Yeah. And then our next move, João Cancelo's medical for Barcelona is scheduled for Friday.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
João Cancelo is so fucking good.
I'm not sure if this is a loan or a permanent. I should probably look into that. But nonetheless, he won't be at Man City this season.
Yeah.
He just doesn't fit. It doesn't fit Pep Guardiola's idea of what he needs at left back.
No, but he does fit Barcelona's. And when I think of like La Liga fullbacks, I think of just really, really offensive talented with, crossing. Think of like Marcelo and Dani Alves, Jordi Alba.
Yeah.
Even like Arbeloa and Carvajal, like
Jesus
all those
Navas.
kind of fullbacks.
Literally was a right mid for Manchester City for years, and then was just like, yeah, I'll go be a right back at Sevilla.
Literally. I feel like he is the exact mold of what a La Liga fullback should be. I love that move.
Yeah, I love it as well. Next thing, though, Fiorentina have lowered their asking price for Sofyan Amrabat to £21 million. So maybe Manchester United could still make that move if they don't want to get Gravenberch.
Yeah, or Liverpool maybe could be in the talks as well now.
Definitely.
Who knows? They should be.
They definitely should be. Manchester City are exploring the possibility of signing Mateus Nunes from Wolves and are also considering Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace.
It's very different from Manchester City. I feel like they rarely ever look at Prem options to add to their team. Do you think that's fair?
I don't know. Like a lot of their recent signings, outside of like Holland and like some of the big ones, like, when they make these moves that are maybe guys that won't see the lineup that often, they do typically stay in the Prem. Guys like Grealish, who now is in the lineup all the time, Phillips, like those kind of moves, they kind of make sense.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
But nonetheless, I think both of these would be fine pickups.
Yeah, especially Mateus Nunes. He honestly, in my opinion, could replace Yakinselo now
Yeah.
with him leaving. So,
But then again, like, you have Vardiol to play left back.
as yeah,
And
they're
then
just it's
Kyle
depth
Walker's on the right. Yeah. I don't know if I sent you it, but I saw this like 5-minute TikTok explaining why Vardiol and Ake are both on the same team, even though they play a very similar role, where it's like they play left center back or left back a lot. Fantastic video. Never even would have ever thought of it like the way that guy did. So I don't even know what the guy's called. I don't even know if I could find that video again, but fantastic video. Gave me a very good idea of Pep Guardiola's idea of a left back / left center back.
Awesome.
But
no, you did not send that to me.
back to what we were saying. The manager of Al Ittihad, Nuno Espirito Santo, has reportedly informed the Al Ittihad board that Karim Benzema does not fit his tactical style. The Portuguese manager also rejected Benzema's request for the captain's armband, and now Benzema is not comfortable working in the current environment at the club and possibly could leave.
Joe Jackson, step aside. Karim Benzema's coming to Chelsea. Just kidding. But this is just, I mean, like, just a complete shit show. Like,
it is.
A part of me is like, haha, Benzema, like you sold out and now this is happening to you. But the other side of it is like, how does this even happen? Like, how did he ever get on the team in the first place? How did, like, what? This is such a fuck up.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It almost seems like from this and the next thing that we'll talk about, that the Al Ittihad board and their manager, Espirito Santo, weren't talking about these moves. They were just making moves.
Yeah, that's pretty egregious as well. But you know, the other side of it though is, and I'm gonna come back to Benzema's defense after calling him a sellout, even though he is a sellout. This guy won the Ballon d'Or last year. I don't give a flying fuck that he doesn't fit into your tactical style. It's Karim Benzema playing in the Saudi league. There will be goals.
Exactly.
Why are you complaining?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
It's absolutely insane. If he does leave, I don't have any idea of where he would go. I don't think he's going to go back to Real Madrid. That wouldn't make sense to me. No. The issue here is that they'd have to most likely terminate his contract because nobody's going to pay a fee for a guy that just joined your team on a free transfer.
Exactly. It's like, I'm glad that this made it on the prep sheet because it's just so weird to me, man.
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen?
Yeah,
how does that happen?
I don't know. But the crazy thing is he's not the first one because 24-year-old Portuguese winger Jota, who came from Celtic just 1 month ago to Al Ittihad, is already set to leave.
Yeah. God, it's just a joke, man.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's crazy. Here's the Bernardo Silva news. He informed Manchester City that he will stay at the club and extend his contract. So he's staying. Which is great. I think he needed to stay, personally. I would have loved to see him at Barcelona, but I think Manchester City needs him.
Oh, yeah, that was a massive move. And, I mean, you can't help but think that maybe De Bruyne's injury had a lot to do with this.
I think it did.
And Pep Guardiola, with everything that him and Bernardo Silva have been through, of course, it's not like he's been there with Pep his entire career or anything, but, like, Bernardo Silva was a very successful player at City, so I can totally see him getting convinced to stay longer.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's a move that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and it also means that they don't have to start Alvarez at cam, which he plays fine there. He really does play pretty well there, but like, everyday wise, I don't think he should be the option. So that allows either Foden or Silva to either play on the right or cam between the two of them.
I'm hot take here. I would honestly bench Kovacic for Bernardo Silva. Yeah, Bernardo Silva's not, he can play a holding center mid. He may not be Struff.
Nice.
Strong and tough is the words that I was trying to say. He may not be strong and tough like Kovacic or Rodri, but personally, I love the way that Julian Alvarez has played, and I hope he can stay as the starter at Cam for City, which is why I think I lean more towards Bernardo Silva replacing Kovacic.
All right. Yeah, I don't really care what they do either way. I just like them to lose.
Yeah, me too.
But next thing, West Ham are plotting a move for Anthony Martial, although they do face some competition from Saudi Arabia.
Uh-oh.
If West Ham can get Anthony Martial, I will really like this team.
But is Anthony Martial? I mean, he's been
depth.
good in a while.
It's just attacking depth, and they need it. It's literally just Michail Antonio right now.
Yeah, that is fair.
But the next move, Liverpool, making a decision that I don't think they should have, but they may have had to. They ended their pursuit of Yao Polina because they can't afford him.
Wow.
Yep, Fulham is asking for £90 million, which I think is fair. He's a young, kind of a budding world-class defensive midfielder.
Yeah.
So 90 million makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, even if you want to flip it on the other side, you can ask for 90 million if you have a team that wants him as desperate as Liverpool. But the problem with Liverpool is they're not desperate enough. So I don't even know, man. They have just completely fucked themselves.
They have. But let's talk this next one, because Real Madrid may not wait until next summer for Mbappe.
Way.
The club may offer, well, they likely will make an offer of 120 million euros in the very last hours of the transfer window, when PSG will be at their most vulnerable, to try and sign him.
And that's just that Florentino Perez tactics, man. He knows this game way too well.
Him and Carlo Ancelotti are smart. But then again, like, I say this, but I also saw reports that Carlo Ancelotti said that the transfer window is over for them.
Yeah. I think I sent that to you earlier today.
Yeah.
That could just be more mind games.
It definitely is.
But, we don't really cover La Liga, so I haven't really been paying attention to how Real Madrid's been lining up. But against the Almeria, which was their last La Liga game, Rodrigo and Vinicius kind of ran like a two-striker setup together. Jude Bellingham was the cam. Then you had Valverde, Tchouaméni, and Toni Kroos as three center mids, and then a back four of Fran Garcia, David Alaba, Antonio Rudiger, and Daniel Carvajal. I don't know.
That sounds very good.
Yeah. I feel like Rodrigo and Vinicius would play a lot better on the wing as opposed to them being a two-striker system. And honestly, with this whole Mbappe just transfer saga, really, that's been going on, I feel like no one has talked about the possibility of Real Madrid just saying, you know what, fuck it, and going for like Osimhen. Because there are plenty of strikers all across the world that they could probably get before the transfer window's up now, instead of taking a risk on a Kylian Mbappe who nobody knows what the fuck's going on with him. And it's kind of like, I feel like I'm coming from a place of, I am tired of watching how long Real Madrid is waiting to get this guy. And of course, like, I get it, you have Benzema, so you can wait, but now maybe not wait on him. Maybe just get someone else that's good. So,
I was kind of quietly hoping that they'd go after Gonzalo Ramos.
That would have been fun.
Yeah, I think he would have been a great signing.
Yeah.
But he got swooped up just like everybody else does. But let's talk about some guys that might be leaving PSG. Looks like PSG and West Ham met the other day to discuss the possible transfer of Hugo Ekitike. Once again, West Ham just in these conversations on these great young players.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. But you have to kind of think, though, is this all because they thought they were going to be able to sell Paqueta?
Probably.
And now they can't. I mean, it could be kind of a bummer for them, but who knows? Maybe they still are in discussion.
We'll see. And then the other one, Marco Verratti, is close to leaving PSG, possibly to join Al Ahly.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah, he's gone.
Dude, we don't even have anything to say when it comes to Saudi Arabia anymore. It's
No.
just like, okay.
I think I've condemned them enough.
Yeah.
But let's get into some news from off the field. I'm super excited for this. Thierry Henry has been appointed the new head coach of France's under-21s on a 2-year contract, and the idea here is that Thierry Henry will take charge of France's senior team at the 2024 Paris Olympics, and Mbappe will play for them at that tournament.
Oh, Mbappe and Henry. That's going to be fun.
That's going to be very interesting. And a fun fact, well, not a fun fact, just a fun thing that's going on with this. Gaël Clichy will be one of Thierry Henry's assistants for the under-21s team.
Dude, he is one of those players that, like the soccer memes where it's like only the streets remember?
Yeah.
Clichy definitely is one of those players.
I love Gaël Clichy.
He was so consistent in Manchester City for a while, and then I just don't even know what happened to him.
I think he just got old and was like, yeah, I'm just going to I think he made a move to France, just like a smaller club.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But the next thing, she is just getting all the attention, man. The Dutch, international team, whatever. They've put England's women's manager Serena Wiegman on the short list for a potential new men's Netherlands head coach.
Wow.
So she got some attention from the English FA and now the Dutch.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Obviously, they're very happy with how she has managed the women's English team, which I believe, did they win or lose the final against Spain?
They lost.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because the Spanish president kissed one of the Spanish girls, and it's causing news right now because she did not appreciate that, or touched her breast or something.
Oh, that's not good.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad.
That is very much not good.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that Spain won because Barcelona posted something on Instagram of they have 7 players in the starting lineup.
Just like in 2010 with the
that was exactly what it was. It was literally 2 pictures. It was one from this Women's World Cup team and one from that Men's World Cup team. It was just all the Barcelona players on it. It's crazy. But our final piece of news, this isn't really transfer news, just soccer news in general. Ben Foster, the cycling goalkeeper, has announced his retirement from professional football after his 12 appearances for Wrexham.
Yeah, I heard that he retired because he said personally that he hasn't been that great, and he's getting up there in age, so he just kind of quit, sort of. Well, quit makes it sound bad. Ben Foster's a legend who needs to be, he's just so cool. So retired, but retired mid-season.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into Stake Your Claim. I didn't write one. I could not think of one for the life of me. So I'm going to let you go, and I'll just see if I get some inspiration here.
Mine's super short, but mine's very relevant. So today, something that we actually didn't talk about, Isaiah Simmons got traded for a 7th-round draft pick, and everybody is freaking out. Listen, motherfuckers. All you little bitch-ass middle linebacker or even the Isaiah Simmons safety card in Madden, he is only good in Madden. He has not been that effective in the NFL.
Correct.
That is my claim, is that Isaiah Simmons is has to be one of the most overrated players in the NFL right now. He has the potential, because I think in college at Clemson,
he was fantastic.
One of those players. Yeah, he played everywhere, kind of like a Jabril Peppers from Michigan. He was an everywhere player. But with the Cardinals, he just really hasn't been that great, but people love this guy. So that's my claim, is that Isaiah Simmons is really not that good of a football player.
Yeah.
He has potential.
I think if anybody's actually I think the problem is that he's not getting overrated. I think people just aren't watching him play.
Yeah, or playing with him too much on Madden.
That could definitely be the case. I've been trying to think of the Stake Your Claim. I'm just going to look ahead to week 1 of the NFL season, and I'm going to say that Kansas City loses the season opener on that Thursday night football game.
Oh, that would be kind of hilarious.
I think Detroit wins it narrowly. Very close game, but I think Detroit wins it 4th quarter, late touchdown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Since our claims were so short, I'm going. Let's review a claim together. This was a
Okay.
really hot claim that I saw. When did I see it? I think it was yesterday or today. Jahmyr Gibbs as Offensive Rookie of the Year.
It could happen. It genuinely could.
Over the receivers?
Maybe?
Like Addison, Jackson Smith.
Like, I don't think it will. Even at running back, he's got competition with Bijan. But
Yeah.
I don't know. He could definitely be a very good running back.
Okay. Yeah, that was one thing that I saw, and I was just kind of like, I should probably bring that up on the podcast. Like, I definitely think he's in a good running back environment in Detroit. I think that recently with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift, they were pretty great over there together. So who knows what he could do?
Yeah, we'll just have to see. But I think that's gonna do it for us this week. A fantastic episode. Great conversations.
Yeah, that was fun.
But if you want to continue to enjoy these great conversations, you should probably be following the podcast on all the podcast platforms and follow us on all of our social media, because primarily Instagram, which I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better about posting on the other socials when we drop an episode, but Instagram is just so convenient. It's the easiest one, and like it's very easy to like everybody to share it. So right now we'll stick to the Instagram announcements, but nonetheless, follow us everywhere and join the subreddit. Me and Colin talked about it on Wednesday's episode, but we're doing these MLB questions that we find on Reddit. We'd like to find the questions on our subreddit. And so all you guys need to do is type in, you go to Reddit, go to r/second 2nd and AND short SHORT. Join the subreddit and just start asking questions. If anything pops in your mind about sports, ask the question, because we'd be glad to talk about it on the podcast. And other than that, go to the YouTube, subscribe, like, comment if you're there right now. I appreciate you for watching it on YouTube. You're built different. Yeah. I think that's gonna be it, Luke. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Come on, you Blues!